And ever since then, I still remember that comment because I remember how I reacted into live. I wish I could kind of like dig back and watch. I can't remember which live it was, but go back and watch that video because my reaction was just that. Like, oh, no way, Jose, I'm not doing that. Who are you talking to? It's your girl. Hey, it's your girl. It's your, hey, it's Mama Jen. Welcome back. Hey, girl, hey. All right. Let's talk about the no oil and butter situation. Basically, it's an update to the no oil and butter situation. And it's been a long time coming. As you know, I'll give you a little background on my story. I feel like you guys probably know. Do we care for background? Maybe you don't. But if you are watching the replay, I feel like you want to know. So I gave up using oils and butters about 2 years ago. July 2 years ago actually was the last time I used raw oils, I should specify. Raw oils and raw butters on my natural hair. I've used products that have oils and butters in them. And to be fair, most of the products that we use, most of the shampoos, conditioners, stylers, I want to argue, have oils and butters and emollients formulated in them. So the argument is that we don't need to pile extra oils and butters in our hair, okay? So 2 years ago, I think I was on the live actually when someone came and was like, Jen, have you considered not using oils in your hair? And I was like, no, actually I have not. Why would I not use oils in my hair? What are you talking about? And she was like, well, you can just wash your hair and use a gel. I basically tried to avoid the comment like the Matrix. You're not talking to me. Gel in my hair after I wash it? Who is this troll? And ever since then, I still remember that comment because I remember how I reacted into live. I wish I could kind of like dig back and watch. I can't remember which live it was, but go back and watch that video because my reaction was just that. Like, oh, no way, Jose, I'm not doing that. Who are you talking to? I completely was like, no. But then the trend kept coming up, not using oil in your hair. And it was just a whole thing. It was just a whole thing about YouTube University that came out. Basically, stylists came out. And I don't want to say 2 years ago, but I started looking into it and, you know, started hearing about it 2 years ago about not using raw oils and butters, how it's not needed, how we're basically suffocating our hair and our hair is technically dry under all the oils and the butters that we're using. So that was the basis of this method. Method is not using raw oils and butters to fix an issue. Rather is to wash your hair consistently because that's how you're going to get hydration into your strands. Okay. You know, some of it makes sense. Oils and water don't mix. All the things that we're doing the most. You don't need to refresh and re-moisturize your hair on a day-to-day. You know, we were doing a lot to our hair, which I was like, you know what? I kind of see it. I am doing a lot. I was re-moisturizing at least every 3 days or so. And I was washing my hair weekly when I was on my good behavior. Now, I started doing this method, and the second I started doing it, I remember the first day I did it, I was like, you know what? There is something there. Not using oils in my hair, but being in the shower and just making sure that my hair was thoroughly wet and raking all the products in my hair. And my hair was just heavy with the humectant and the botanical gels. My hair was just heavy with the water, and it retained the water beautifully. And I was like, what? You know what? I see something there. Something's happening, and I kind of like it. So ever since then, the rest is history. I just haven't used oils and butters in my hair for the past 2 years. But now, the reviews are coming in, and there is no way to sugarcoat this, my friend. Some things are happening, meaning that we need to talk about it. Now, I have to say that I haven't experienced some of the issues that I've been hearing. And the main issue that I'm hearing is that people are having a lot of split ends. Okay, now there's a lot of speculation as to where that's happening and why. And it's not so much, oh, you're styling your hair in a wash and go, you have split ends. People are thinking that the curly cuts that the stylists are giving them is the one that is causing all of these split ends and destroying their hair. So the main thing, like I said, split ends galore, and the hair is splitting up through the shaft of their hair. It's not just a little split in situation that you can just trim. People are trimming 3-4 inches off of their hair. That's crazy. Excuse me. that just makes no sense to me. So that's one. Two, essentially, a lot of people are saying that their hair is dry. And where's this dryness coming from? And it's not even like a dryness that you are feeling. It's a dryness that is masked. And now I have to say, I haven't experienced any of that. So I've been looking at my hair with a magnifying glass ever since this whole thing came out. Because is this happening and I'm not aware? Are these products making our hair feel so good, but yet on the inside, our hair is dry? Is that even the thing? Because I posted about it on Instagram, and a lot of people were saying the issue with the curly cuts is that they're not taking care of all of your split ends. Basically, curly cuts is to cut for shape, not cut for health. So what's happening, at least allegedly, I don't know, what's happening is that you're cutting your hair, you have a bomb shape, but your split ends are still there. So now it's going to continue to split up the shaft of your hair, as you know. If you don't take care of your split ends, they are going to take care of you. Y'all know what I mean. And someone said something that I was like, I don't know if that's true. And that kind of leads me to my pet peeve with the natural hair community, to be honest. Where is it? I'm trying to find the comment. But basically what the person said is that gels and mousse aren't meant to penetrate your hair. So they are just sitting on the outside, whereas oils and butters penetrate your hair. So when your hair is feeling chronically dry from the gel and the mousse, is because you're not able to penetrate your hair. And I don't know. I'm no scientist, and I wish, if I was going to school now, if I was 18 years old going into university, I would still do the same degree that I did, but I would specialize in natural hair if that was a thing. Because this is the biggest pet peeve I have with the natural hair communities. The fact that we're all speculating. Oils and water don't mix. Oils penetrate your hair, but oils don't penetrate your hair. Butters do, but they don't. Mousse does, but they don't. Like, it's so crazy because I feel like, I don't know. Like, we are just, there's a lot of limited, how do I say this? There's limited studies on our natural 4C kinky hair. You know what I mean? And because of that, I think we just run with the little information that will come out in a study and kind of just run with it. Like, yeah, maybe oils and water don't mix, but is that the case when it comes to hair? Because we do have a lipid layer on our hair. Maybe we do need the oils. And I'm not saying we need to run back to oils and butter. That's not what I'm saying at all. If anything, that's the second pet peeve that I have with the natural hair community, is the fact that if you try something, it doesn't work. Oh, no, I got to go back. People are talking about going back to Blue Magic Grace. And it's like, we don't need to go back a decade. We can go back a year or two, learn, figure out what's going on, and then grow from there. Because I don't believe that this method is completely wrong. And I just think that maybe a few things need to be tweaked, especially if people are experiencing some issues. We don't need to run back to 1995. Grandma was using this in my hair, so I need to go back to that. I don't know. I just feel like we can evolve, we can grow, etc. What degree did you go in, Jen? I had a degree. I have a degree in biochemistry. That's what I went to school for, which is why I would have loved to, take a microscope, like one of those microscopes that they had at school, because they had those like 200x microscope back in the lab. And it's funny because I had a love-hate relationship with biochemistry when I was going to school, because, oh my God, it was so tough, y'all. It was the hardest thing that I ever did, is graduating in biochemistry. And at the time I hated it. I just did it because I had no choice. I felt like my parents would disown me. They would love me significantly less if I did not graduate with my degree. Y'all know how it is with these Haitian parents. So in any case, I would have loved to use some of these microscope and like really kind of study the structure of the hair and see what's going on, see what happens when you actually condition versus deep condition. And is the deep conditioner actually penetrating our hair the way that these marketers are letting us know? Because I saw this, I've been looking into this, y'all. I read this paper, this scientific paper, where basically the consensus was that deep conditioners aren't really doing what we think that they're doing. They're not going that much deeper. And it was a scientist that posted it. Oh my God, I have to dig this paper back because I feel like bringing back this whole series on no oil and butter. In any case, they tagged the deep conditioner with a substance that made it glow, basically, and then they looked at the hair under a microscope to see where the deep conditioner went, and it stayed on the surface of the hair. It ain't go nowhere. It ain't penetrate deep inside. So I need to find this paper. It's not Jen saying this. It's a paper that I read. I want to say maybe a year ago. But in any case, I'm going to have to dig it back up. All I'm saying is I would have loved to study our hair because we really need more studies. I would love that. And Nikki said, I guess people with 4C hair will need to trial and see what works and what doesn't. But why? Why does it have to be people with 4C hair doing all this trial and tribulation, going through this trial and tribulation with our hair? Why is all of our heads so different, that it can't be a consensus that you don't need this, but let's use that type thing? And okay, I know we're all individual. I know we have our own, we're all unique essentially. But is my hair, for example, so unique versus somebody else's hair that may be kinky and tight coiled as well? So I don't know. I just kind of feel like the going through, does any conditioner actually penetrate then? I don't know. I feel like the way that we think about our hair, as in like cuticles are raising and closing like a flap, I don't think it's like that because I also read another paper. When I started the whole no oil and butter thing, y'all, my plan was to bring a series on my channel about these scientific studies. So what I was doing is reading up on a lot of these studies to get the information so I can bring to you. Now, the method kind of took off and it ended up being like a whole back and forth situation with people online where it's like, well, you're not using oil, but you should be. And you're like, if you stop using oils, people kind of took it personally, even though it's like my head. So I was like, you know what? I'm not trying to fight people on the internet. Not today. So I deaded it. But I really wish I did not because truth be told, I feel like the little studies that we have is probably what we should use to really get a better understanding of the hair. So what I read that time, which was around shampoos, because I wanted to see, how the stylists were saying you can only get hydration into your hair when it's clean. When you wash your hair with a shampoo, it's going to raise your cuticles and water can go in. But as it turns out, like, I guess what the paper was saying is that the cuticles, it's not raised like that, like open and closed. It's not really like that. It's more like when it comes to a pH situation, which is where clarifying shampoos comes into play. If I remember correctly, y'all don't go and clock and say Jen J said, okay? This was like 2 years ago when I read this paper. It's from my memory. The pH will slightly raise the cuticle, not open and close, slightly raise. So do what you will with that information. But when it comes to, say, using conditioners, now they have a lot more substance in them, like emollients, oils, etc. There are butters in some of the conditioners that we use. Now, is that actually going in? I don't know. Especially when conditioner's pH is higher than what a clarifying shampoo would be. So immediately your cuticles will be more smooth than open. I don't know. I think some of the marketing can be very deceiving, like Nikute Williams. Nikute is how you say your name. I don't know. I'm very bad with pronunciation, so my bad, girl. But I really think the marketing can be very deceiving when it comes to natural hair, especially when they talk about fixing split ends. There's a lot of products on the market that's going to fix your split ends, but once you have them splits, you need to cut them. Okay, they gotta go. Anyway, so that takes me back to the whole no oil and butter situation, y'all. The issues that's coming out is curly cuts may be damaging to our hair. They're not taking care of the split ends, so it's continuously splitting. Dryness is what's happening as well. Some people are experiencing webbing to their hair, Velcro hair. That's basically where your hair is it's like Velcro basically. They are clumping together and it's hard for you to like rake your fingers through. It's hard for you to style your hair. So if you're experiencing something like that, then I would say go to your stylist. But the second issue that I have with the natural hair community, not second, the third Third, the third issue that I have with the natural hair community is the fact that stylists, consumers, influencers, we are all at odds with each other when we should be a community. Like I said, there isn't a lot of information, scientifically speaking, when it comes to our natural hair. If we're all figuring this out, we should all be figuring it out together. And what I'm seeing right now, in light of everything that's happening, we're not together. The stylists aren't saying much. They're not addressing the big elephant in the room, even though they were very loud a couple of years ago about y'all listening to influencers. YouTube University have been jacking up your hair. But if this method needs some tweaking and updates, then they need to be talking about it. They need to tackle this situation or these concerns that people are having. But what I'm seeing is that they're just avoiding them. They're blocking people. And that makes them feel, in my opinion, that makes them feel a little untrustworthy. How can I trust you if when I have concerns, you are nowhere to be found? Unreliable. Where are you now when you were saying a lot 2 years ago? Even now, they're still making fun of people using oils and butters, which it's a personal choice. Your hair is your hair. And I've always said this. You have to love your routine for you to do it consistently. And I think the thing with natural hair, it's about doing your routine consistently. It's putting water on your hair, shampooing it, conditioning it consistently. If you're not doing it consistently, forget it. No matter what you do to your hair, it will be dry. It will break off. Nothing is going to happen. We're all on different pages when it comes to our hair. And why can't we all just get together and figure it all out together? I'm not saying this whole method started maliciously. I'm not saying that these stylists were trying to jack people's hair up or anything like that. But I truly believe that, especially if there's some concerns that are happening, we need to tackle them together. We need to figure it out together. And I think now what you're seeing is a few influencers that are finally coming out and talking about, hey, this is what I'm experiencing with my hair. And people are saying, you know what? I've been experiencing the same thing too. Now we're back to listening to influencers. Let's take some comments. Okay. Stylists should address the issue. Consumer feedback is extremely important for growth. Amen. I couldn't have said it any better. The stylists should address the issue. Consumer feedback is extremely important for growth. That is, you know what, girl? A round of applause for Nikute, because I couldn't have said it any better. You see what I did there? Okay, anyways, I think we really need to get down to the bottom of this if we do want to grow from this method, because I do think there's something there. I don't think we need to run back to oil, essentially. I think that the best thing to do would be to listen to people that have been using this method for a couple of years, listen to the concerns, and figure things out from there. That's the best way, I would say, to proceed when it comes to this, because if we are going to grow, we have to learn from what's happening. There may be something else. Well, this was a nice little conversation. If you are watching the replay, I will love to continue the conversation with you in the comments down below.